Hello, everyone. My name is Cheyenne Yunt, although I assumed you knew that already. Hey, guys, sorry about that. I don't know. But today, the thing has finally come. And like I said, it's not what you expected. I'm going to be finishing it off week by week. Alright. I don't know what to say. I don't really have the scripted. Nor do I have anything ever scripted. What kind of YouTubers do have it scripted? Honestly. Alright, so what I was gonna do today is I was gonna read a book. I told you, unexpected, and you probably won't like it. It is this one. I'm sorry if the camera's backwards, but I can't help it. It says Five Nights at Freddy's The Twisted Ones. It's actually the sequel to the first Five Nights at Freddy's novel. Yes, you did hear me right. I did say novel. I did not stutter or anything. I stuttered that time, but still. It is a novel. Look how many pages there are. I already have it set to the first chapter. And yeah. But before we get started on that, I am going to read the summary. Hold on. It's been a year since the horrific events at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, and Charlie's just trying to move on. Even with the excitement of a new school and a fresh start, she's still haunted by nightmares of a mass murderer and 4 gruesome animatronic puppets. Charlie thinks her ordeal is over, but when a series of bodies is discovered near her school, bearing wounds that are disturbingly familiar, she finds herself drawn back into the world of her father's frightening creation. Something twisted is haunting Charlie, and this time, if it finds her, it's not letting her go. It's literally what it says. I'm sorry about this. This might be like a 30-minute, maybe up to an hour long, because I'm doing chapter by chapter, and the chapters are like 30 pages. Sorry for the noise background if there is any that you can hear. If you have this book, please, I encourage you to go get it and read along with me. Now, let's get started. Chapter 1. Don't trust your eyes. Dr. Treadwell walked back and forth across the platform at the front of the auditorium. Her steps were slow and even almost hypnotic. Your eyes deceive you every day, filling in the blanks for you in a world of sensory overload. An image of dizzying geometric details lit up the canvas screen behind her. When I say sensory overload, I mean that quite literally. At every moment, your senses are receiving far more information than they can process all at once, and your mind is forced to choose which signal to pay attention to. It does that based on your experiences and your expectations of what is normal. The things that we are familiar with are the things that we can, for the most part, ignore. We see this most easily with olfactory fatigue. Your nose ceases to perceive a smell when you've been around it for a while. You may be quite thankful for this phenomenon, depending on the habits of your roommate. The class teetered dutifully. I don't know. Then became quiet as the image of another multicolored design flashed onto the screen. The professor gave a hint of a smile and continued. Your mind creates motion when there is none. It fills in colors and trajectories based on what you've seen before and calculates what you should be seeing now. Another image flashed onto the overhead screen. If your mind didn't do this, then simply walk outside and seeing a tree would consume all your mental energy, leaving you no resources to do anything else. In order for you to function in the world, your mind fills in spaces of the tree of its own leaves and branches. 100 pencils scribbled all at once, filling the lecture hall with the sound like a scurrying mouse. It's why you enter a house for the first time. You experience a moment of dizziness. Your mind is taking in more than usual. It's drawing a floor plan, creating a palette of colors, and saving an inventory of images to draw on later. So you don't have to go through the exhausting intake every single time. The next time you enter the same house, you already know where you are. Charlie! An urgent voice whispered behind her, inches from her ear. Charlie kept writing. She was staring straight ahead at the display at the front of the lecture hall. As Dr. Treadwell went on, she paced faster, occasionally flinging her arm towards the screen to illustrate her point. Her words seemed to be falling behind as her mind raced on ahead. Charlie realized on the second day of classes that her professor sometimes broke off into the middle of one sentence, only to finish another one. It was like she skimmed the text in her head, reading out a few words here and there. Most of the students in her robotics class found it maddening, but Charlie liked it. It made the lesson kind of like doing a puzzle. The screen flashed again, displaying an assortment of mechanical parts and a diagram of eyes. This is what you must recreate. Dr. Treadwell stepped back from the image, turning to look at it with the class. Basic artificial intelligence is all about the sensory control. You won't be dealing with a mind that can filter these things out for itself. You must design programs that recognize basic shapes while discarding unimportant information. You must do for your robot what your mind does for you. Create a simplified and organized assembly of information based on what's relevant. Let's start by looking at some examples of basic shape recognition. Sorry guys, I just don't like reading out loud. I usually like reading in my head. But I'm doing this for you guys, not because... Okay, well, it's kind of half because I want to. But I'm also doing it for you guys. Charlie! Hissed the voice again, and she waved her pencil impatiently at the figure peering over her shoulder. Her friend Artie, trying to shoo her away. The gesture cost her a moment, put her half step behind the professor. She hurried to catch up. Anxious not to miss a single line, the paper in front of her was covered in formulas. Note in her margins, stretched and diagrams. She wanted to get everything all done at once. Not just the maths, but all the things made her think of. All the things it made her think of. If she could tie down the new facts to the things she already knew, she'd retain it more easily. She felt hungry for it, alert, watching for the new tidbits of information like a dog under the dinner table. A boy near the front raised his hand and to ask a question, and Charlie felt a brief flare. I lost my stop. Hold on. Of impatience. Now the whole class would have to stop while Treadwell went back to explain a simple concept. Charlie let her mind wander, sketching absently in the margins of her notebook. John would be herein. She glanced restlessly at her watch. An hour. I told him maybe someday we'll see each other again. I guess it's someday. He had called out of the blue. I'm just going to be passing through, he said, and Charlie hadn't bothered to ask why he knew where she was. Of course, he would know. There was no reason not to meet him, and she found herself alternately excited and filled with dread. Now, as she absently sketched rectangular forms along the bottom of her note pages, her stomach jumped. A little spasm of nerves. It felt like a lifetime since she last saw him. Sometimes it felt like she'd seen him yesterday, as if the last year hadn't passed. But of course, it had. and everything had changed for Charlie once again. That May, the night of her 18th birthday, the dreams had begun. Charlie was long accustomed to nightmares. The worst moments of her past forced up like bile, into twisted versions of memories already too terrible to recall. She shoved these dreams into the back of her mind and in the morning and sealed them away, knowing they would only breach it when night fell again. These dreams were different. When she woke, she was physically exhausted, not drained but sore. Her muscles weak, her hands were stiff and aching like they'd been clenched into fists for hours. These new dreams didn't come every night, but when they did, they interrupted her regular nightmares and took them over. It didn't matter if she was running and screaming for her life, or wandering aimlessly through a dull mishmash of the various places she'd been all week. Suddenly, from nowhere, she would sense him. Sammy, her lost twin brother, was near. She knew she was present the same way she knew that she was present. I'm sorry, I just never read that part before, so apparently I skipped over a line, and also didn't make any sense. But anyways, let's continue. And whatever the dream was, it dropped away. People, places, lights, and sound. Now she was searching for him in the darkness, calling his name. He never answered. He would drop to her hands and knees, feeling her way through the dark, letting his presence guide him until she came to the barrier. It was smooth and cold and metal. She couldn't see it, but she hit it hard with one fist and it echoed. Sammy, she would call, hitting harder. She stood, reaching up to see if she could scale the slick surface, but it stretched up far above her head. She beat her fist again until the barricade. She beat her fist against the barricade until they hurt. She screamed. She screamed her brother's name until her throat was raw, until she fell onto the floor and leaned on the solid metal, pressing her cheeks into his cold surface and hoping for a whisper from the other side. I cannot read this for some reason. She was there. She knew it as surely as he would be a part of it. I lost my spot! Oh, there we go. She knew in those dreams that he was present. Worse, when she was awake, she knew he was not there. In August, Charlie and Aunt Jen had their first fight. They've always been too distant to really argue. Charlie never felt the need to rebel because Jen provided her no real authority, and Jen never took anything. Charlie did personally never try to stop herself from doing anything, as long as she was safe, of course. The day Charlie moved in with her at the stage of 7, Aunt Jen had told her plainly that she was not a replacement for Charlie's Clarence. Clarence. I said Clarence, I know. By now, Charlie was old enough to understand that Jen had meant it as a gesture of respect, a way to reassure Charlie that her father would be forgotten, that she would always be his child. But at the time, it has seemed like an astonishment. Don't expect parenting. Don't expect love. And so, Charlie hadn't. Jen had never failed to care for Charlie. Charlie never wanted food or clothing, and Jen always taught her to cook, to take care of the house, to manage her money, and to fix her own car. You have to be independent, Charlie. You have to know how to take care of yourself. You have to know when to be stronger than... She cut herself off. But Charlie knew how the sentence would have ended. You have to be stronger than your father. Charlie shook her head, trying to jerk herself free from her own thoughts. "What's wrong?" Hardy said next to her. "Nothing," she whispered. She ran her pencil again and again over the same lines. Over, down, over the graphite, wearing thicker and thicker. Charlie had told Jen that she was going back to Hurricane, and Jen's face turned stony, her skin paling. "Why would you want to do that?" she asked with a dangerous calm in her voice. Charlie's heart beat faster, because that's where I lost him. Because I need him more than I need you. The thoughts of returning had been nagging at her for months, and growing stronger each passing week. One morning, she awoke and the choice was made, final, sitting in her mind with a solid weight. "Jessica's going to college at St. George," she told her aunt. "She's starting the summer semester, so I can stay with her while I'm there. I want to see the house again. There's still so much I don't understand. It just feels important." So she finished weekly, faltering at Jen's door. I'm sorry, but that is all I got for today. I'll try to read more if you guys want it. But yeah. I'm also getting a bunch of YouTube notifications. People won't shut up. I'm not talking about you guys. I've replied on one video and everyone else won't stop replying back. I meant to comment. I'm sorry. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I do have craziness. I need to be in a sane asylum. I hate reading out loud, but if you guys want it, I'll do it. But anyways, I hope you like it. Comment down below if you want more. There is also going to be a comment where I will give you a shout out in the next video about anything that you want me to shout out about it. I'll look it up and shout out to the channel about it. What is your favorite book? I will be doing one every single week. I'll be doing a chapter every single week, meaning that I will also do this tomorrow until the chapter's finished. Hopefully it will take tomorrow, but that's only if you want it. So, like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell so you get an update on whenever I post a video. Thank you guys, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!